The fourth of our 5 frequencies is how we show up informally. This is our day-to-day behaviors. This is what some would call walking the talk. Others would call it being a role model. Now, most leaders, when they think about being a role model, think that they simply do what's important. Unfortunately, you're not a role model unless someone sees you do it. And so we need to be thoughtful about our opportunities to be a role model. Someone has to see us do something in order for it to be a role model. Otherwise, it doesn't have an impact on the organization. Now, that might feel uncomfortable. It might even feel like bravado or bragging. But that is the role of leaders. You are there to set an example. And by doing so, by being a role model, by walking the talk, where people can see you, you are setting the tone for what's important in the organization. Returning to soccer, how I show up informally as a coach every day sets the tone for my team. For example, at the beginning and end of every practice and game, I try to shake the hand of every player that arrives. Why? First of all, that's a life skill that you don't tend to learn anywhere else. Second, it's a sign of mutual respect. Every coach expects players to respect the coach, but a handshake shows that we respect each other, and it sets the tone for how we operate as a team. Also, when I talk to the team, I get down on one knee and either look up at them or look eye to eye. I never stand over them looking down. If I were to stand over them looking down, it sets the tone that I am the center of attention. Instead, it's about we. And when I get down on one knee, it sets that tone that we are in it together. So every little act that I have of how I show up sets the tone for how we operate as a team. Another example of showing up informally, I'll use an example of someone I coached. We'll call him Jerry. Jerry had spent 33 years in his industry. He knew almost everything about it. He was highly respected. The people in his organization wanted to make sure that he was successful and that he supported them. But anytime there was a problem, Jerry would go out and do what he would call headhunting. He would look to find who was most to blame and make sure that they were committed to never make that mistake again. He wanted to change his behavior. How does he show up every day? And he wanted to focus on finding problems where management had failed the employee or the process had failed the employee. That was a different line of thought, a different line of questions, a different line of reacting for him when there was a problem. And after 33 years, it wasn't an easy shift to make. And so he pinned a 3x5 card on the door jamb of his office. And every time he left his office to walk out into the organization, he took that card with him as a reminder that he wanted to focus on, first, did the process fail the employee? Second, did the management fail the employee? And if neither of those two were true, then he could possibly go after the employee. He hadn't found one by the last time I had talked with him about this, but it shaped how he showed up as a leader every single day in his organization and fundamentally changed the culture that he was leading. Another example of how we show up informally, I go back to my time in operations. I would make it a habit to walk up to any one person in my operations team and have them show me how they did their job. Not just as a demonstration, but train me to do it and then allow me to do it, making sure that I don't make any critical mistakes. This would show two things. One, that I wanted to really understand what they went through and how we designed the work that they did. Second, that I cared about their expertise in how that job was done. And so going through the organization, being able to walk up to anyone and say, teach me how to do that job. Show it to me, watch me do it, and let me ask some questions. Created a different atmosphere about what I cared about from my employees. As we think about how we show up informally, some of it's our decisions and actions, which we always talked about, but it's also the questions that we ask, the tone we set, how we show up walking into a room, even where we sit in the room can send messages about how we think about the organization. So be thoughtful about how you show up on an everyday basis.